Hey guys, Butch Hartman here with Speech Bubble. I got Jace and my good pal Vic Mignogna. He's on Star Trek Continues.
Beam me up, Scotty.
We'll beam him. Roll the theme music. Before I let you go, the new Star Trek Discovery on CBS.
Yeah.
They just released a trailer for that.
Yes.
And the guy who plays Captain Pike in that show reminds me of you. I saw that. We were both looking at it today.
Who said it first?
You said it first.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he goes, looks like
when I
Vic.
saw the thumbnail, I was like,
Would you believe
Far more handsome in real life,
Well,
just so you know. But
you're very kind.
Yeah, but I
Checks
was
in
like,
the
that guy looks like Vic Mignogna there. Yeah. Did you?
Well, you know what? It's funny you should say that because I had not yet seen the trailer. And about 2 days ago, I was looking through our Star Trek Continues page on Facebook. And there was a huge thread with a picture of him. And underneath it, whoever posted it started out by saying, is it just me or does this guy look like Vic?
Yeah.
And there were 100 comments.
Yeah.
How much, people thought it looked like me.
And they're taking they're bringing actually original characters back into that show now. Did the first season do well or not? Did it do okay?
No.
Didn't do that good.
Did the first season not do well?
Because it's
Well, it was on. It was all access.
Yeah,
it was,
which
it
not a
was
lot of
on their
people have
pay.
the
They're
streaming
kind of
service.
CBS is kind of launching a pay-per-view kind of a thing.
Got it.
And
Okay.
and they actually their flagship christening
Show
was Star Trek Discovery.
Cool.
It's very different. The first season was very dark and very action-driven.
Everybody thinks they gotta go dark.
Yeah,
with
and I
everything.
don't know
get
why
it.
they
Yeah, I
couldn't, because here's the thing, and I love Star Trek, and I will support Star Trek, especially if, like I told Jace earlier, it drives people to go watch what started it all,
Exactly.
the original. But the thing about Star Trek that made it so unique is that it was hopeful, and it provided this bright, optimistic view of the future where human beings weren't at each other's throats anymore and they bonded together and they ventured out into space unified. It was a positive message. And it was created, if you think about it, during the 60s when there were all kinds of racial upheavals and political upheavals and wars and Roddenberry envisioned, wouldn't it be great if 100 years or so from now we got past this stuff and we're able to come together. So that's what Star Trek is. And to create a new Star Trek.
They're turning it into Star Wars.
To create a new Star Trek that is all about ship battles and fighting Klingons and dark, vicious, angry.
Yeah, it's just pretty
That's
typical.
not classic Star Trek. Now, in their own defense, I hope they're moving toward that. Because if you think about it, Discovery takes place before the original series.
Yeah.
So what they may be doing is they may be going back before the optimistic, hopeful original series and say, this is all of the conflict that was happening before that will ultimately resolve and lead us up to this. I hope that's where they're going.
Me too.
I don't know.
I've heard from a lot of podcasts. I'm not an expert at Star Trek.
Wait. You listen to other podcasts?
No, it's just this one over and over again.
Somebody tied him down and made him
Yeah,
listen.
I was
Is that what
being
happened?
tortured.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't make me listen
But
to
you're
this.
made of tinfoil. It didn't hurt.
No, I've heard a lot of people say that most Star Trek shows, the first season isn't very good, and then the second season, third season, that's when it gets good. Like the first initial part of it is mediocre, and then from there it's a good kickstart.
Well, I would say that it's fair to say that almost any new series in its first season is finding its footing. It's figuring out who it is and actors figuring out who their characters are, and you start to kind of hit your stride inside the first season or second season. Except for the original series. The original Star Trek, the stories right out of the gate were compelling, wonderful stories. And the second season was really great. The third season, people kind of had a problem with because they kept getting their budget cut. The studio didn't want to make it. It cost them too much money. Yeah. And they kept trying to kill it. They kept trying to torpedo it. And the fans would rise up and write these letters, and so they kept it going.
No internet back then. Had to write letters.
Exactly.
Letters.
I mean paper and pencils.
Pencils, and stamps.
Crazy.
And so, but they would keep cutting its budget, and they would put it in different time slots that it would lose viewers.
Yeah.
And finally, they just kind of ended it. But you're right about what you just said about not the first season not being so great. But I think it's that way with almost any production.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
With Star Trek Continues, our first episode was a really good episode. But 2 or 3 episodes in, we were really starting to hit our stride and tweaking the lighting.
You guys didn't.
And our
You guys
performances
didn't make
got
a bad
better.
episode. There's not even one I watched.
I don't
that
think
went,
so either.
You guys, they were all great. I'm
Thank
not even.
you.
I'm not saying that because you're sitting here. When you leave, I swear, when you leave, I'm gonna say the same thing.